we've had Slysssa had a triple top 4 day. We had Bill absolutely destroy Europe earlier on today. We've seen Collins winning multiple lobbies, and we've seen Dog putting in the numbers as well. China has been a little bit more island cat and supporting cast with the way that things have gone so far. It's not to say that the other members haven't put in some big results, but it has seemed to be pretty evident who the star of the show is at the moment. But all of the other members have shown enough to me to prove their potential and that they could be serious threats to this America's lobby, especially, as you were saying, with that first lobby the last time they met in the round robin portion, where they did manage to destroy America's over the course of one lobby.
Yeah, I knew this was coming in the bottom left. PF, I think we've seen him on Krag before in such an awkward, awful selection of picks, and he's on Krag again. And I think also that PF might be the player that needs to up their game just a little bit. If there is a weak link, he's felt like we haven't said his name much in the later stages of these lobbies, so starting him on Krag might be a bit of a tough one.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with that one. We're taking a quick zoom on the bands, picking up Demons, Mechs, and Murlocs for our first lobby. So one of those real power rewards for those triples into Tavern 4 minions is gone with the Mechs, those big old tempo boards that we've been seeing from the Meccano tanks. But there is still plenty of win conditions left hanging around with the way these bands are broken down.
We've seen Panda quite a few times. We see Tao Tao here. Is token a really big deal on Panda because of the variable hero powers? Does it give you a lot more versatility, or is it just a normal token like any other hero?
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because it depends massively on your turn 1 hero powers and your turn 2 hero powers, right? If you're going to hit something like Reform hero power, for example, on turn 2, Reform is a hero that doesn't need a token on 1 because of the way Reform curve works out. But I think having the extra gold on average gives you a little bit more flexibility to make hero power plays off on a greater range of hero powers with Panda. But it also increases the likelihood that you get baited and do something stupid, because I think that's one of the hardest things with Panda, is avoiding this trap that you have to use the hero power you've selected on any turn that you take it. And the more gold you have to play with by potentially selling tokens away, the more tempting that becomes in some positions to go for a cheeky Yasharaj hero power or something that you've been taken, even though it ends up being a really stupid idea, having to sell away 2 gold to do that.
Really want to see what Cookie held there. Island Cat with the double Acolyte and a mate. Yeah, Collins held the Acolyte against the double Acolyte Reform there. The Acolyte probably the best pair to have as Reform at the start of the game, just because you're looking for those triples into 4 or triples into 6, maybe with Island Cat. I'm just not going to rule that out. And
yes,
Collins avoided it at source.
Statistically, it is slightly more likely that your opponent is a China player than an Americas player, right? It's not a straight 50-50 as to whether you would be helping or hindering your opponent in that position, or helping or hindering your own cause by giving them a very powerful minion in the Acolyte. But when you take Collins out of the equation, there are 4 China players and 3 Americas players that he could queue into in that position.
Yeah, and Krag's in for a bit of a shocker. Having seen Reform win that last fight, he's going to get murdered by Cookie on turn 3, which is not normally a surprise, but he'll be thinking he has a chance. He does have a chance. He's not dying too hard. That's how it's going to be, I'm afraid, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. What's Collins working out? He's so animated. Right, La 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 on the Diablo with the tempo minions going into the next turn. We did see earlier today Collins play this hero and just go to 3 and rely on the 5/5 to do some work for you. And I think that worked out quite well in the end for Collins, but La 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 taking the full tempo route, just going to make sure he gets every single one of those. And importantly, what you've talked about a lot in this tournament, he has the taunt to protect the 5/5. Not the best taunt, but a big taunt.
Yeah, a very short-term taunt, one of the shortest-term taunts available, because it's quite rare that that survives one attack, because after it gets attacked, obviously it attacks into something else, and then generally your opponent's next attack is going to have free reign on the board. Tao Tao taking things a little bit slower with Nguyen up until this point, just going to the Tavern 3. Again, Nguyen curves are very much dictated by which hero powers you do get offered. Sometimes you're going to play a shiny curve. Sometimes you'll end up something more akin to Jeeve curve, where you're leveling to Tavern 2 on turn 3. Sometimes you'll just get the kind of hero powers that support you power leveling. I think personally, one of the most hilarious things to do is when you play shiny curve. So it's the curve where you look to double level on 7 gold. And then on that 7 gold turn, you get offered Omu hero power, which is just the absolute nuts.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be really funny to see. I do want to just stress that China are the host broadcasters, so there is no surprise they are concentrating on these early stages on their own players. We have seen them be very neutral as the games progress, though. But obviously, the Chinese audience in particular will be interested in seeing their players, and that is what happens with a foreign language cast.
Triple into 4 here from Slysssa. Still another pair available with the remaining Swabby, but Promo Drake was certainly not the win condition she would have been looking for here, so she is going to have to try and find some additional support, try and turn some of that Zyrella 2-mana by a minion into some tempo to actually probably get her up to Tavern 4 manually and start looking for win conditions all over again if she's not able to hit that Swabby triple on the next couple of rolls on the next turn.
Just to be clear here, that's just a 5/5, right? I mean, she's not looking. She'll take it how it goes if she sees one, most likely. But this is just the biggest thing in the shop for this turn.
Yep. Yeah, it was just tempo. She missed, basically. She didn't hit any of the stuff she really wanted to hit, which was the scaling minions, the avenge minions, that kind of thing on Tavern 4. So she's just taken 5/5, give +1/+1 to 2 minions for the course of the fight here. So it's a good amount of tempo for the turn.
A look at what Bill's got going on with Eudora. This is going to be fascinating. It's sort of exactly a Bill kind of setup as it happens. Obviously, he had no control over it, but...
He first tripled into Gambler? Are you kidding me? I didn't even notice that.
And got Mama Bear with it.
That's so sick. Yeah, turning into the Mama here is a big deal. Picks up Hydra as a matter of good order as well. Now, I'll be very curious as to what happens with this last remaining goal, because I think more and more as time has gone on with Eudora, the better players are starting to say, I'm never pressing this hero power again at this point. I'm just going to play max tempo. And yes, you see Bill there had a perfect interval where he could have held the 6 gold and just pressed the hero power and started to build up for a second golden further down the line. Instead, he chose to break that interval, sell out his 6 gold, play for high tempo, skip the hero power this turn. Generally, that is the philosophy that more and more good players are swapping towards now, where the first triple is just what you're playing the hero power for, or the first golden minion is just what you're playing the hero for. From that point onwards, you just ride the tempo you get off that, and you forget about the second golden.
Yeah, and I think even if you attempted to go for the second one, look at the lobby. There's a Diablo, there's a Panda, there's a Rafam. Yeah, you're not going to get the chance to get to turn 10. In a somewhat of a more rumbling lobby, maybe you'd consider it. But yeah, absolutely happy with that choice.
Recycling Wraith is available. Again, it's not one of the premium win conditions that you can take here. It looks like he is just going to go Argus, in fact, however. Looking to... I guess, okay, he's taunting up his 2 Goldens, trying to give them a little extra bit of stats. This is going to allow him to hold on to those 2 Goldens for a little bit longer than he might be able to otherwise. But I think Collins ran into a bit of a no-time chat on that one, and because of it, there is a 3.5% chance that he's not going to be dealing any damage to the Gallywix. A couple of blood gems not used.
Yep, looking around as well, he and Island Cat both have a chance of getting some sort of avenge things going on, but they have nothing of the avenge in sight right now. And Island Cat is down to 12. Which is a big deal, because I think Island Cat, if China are going to win this, I would be very surprised if China win this and Island Cat doesn't have a major part in it, just from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I agree. Again, limited assessment. We're dealing with small sample sizes, but that has absolutely seemed to be the case so far. He has very much been the star of the show and won a few hearts, certainly on the virtual casting desk as well, because he does tend to play in a way and favour comps that I tend to favour as well. He has been one of the few players in the tournament overall that I would say has gone for big, high-risk comps at all cost. I think a lot of the other successful players have been successful by playing kind of safe with tempo and mechano tanks and, you know, sticking to lower tiers in certain positions and just trying to consolidate themselves into a good position. Island Cat has just gone for it every single lobby from what we've seen so far, and done so very, very well.
I feel like the equivalent on the Americas team is basically Collins. He's the other one who just likes to press the tavern button. First look at Dog's board is there's a lot to take in on this board. He seems to have all angles covered already in various different comps. He's going to have to pick one at some point, but for now he's looking fine with that double triple. Does that work? Yes, double triple is a phrase that I can use. Locked in on the board. Yeah. Will he be okay with 5s, or will he be super greedy here? He's down to 19. I guess it depends how much gold he's actually got next turn.
It depends on gold, yeah. And I was about to say that's the one potential large issue with his Gallywix board right now is at this point with Gallywix, ideally you would like to already be into a comp that rewards you cycling minions through your board, right? Elementals, Brand Menagerie, Brand Murloc, something like that. Something where you are incentivized to buy lots and lots of minions from the shop and actually get value out of them and sell them back. Because if you're not doing that, your hero power actually does very little. Your character does very little if you are not doing that very regularly. Oh, that's a lot of damage coming through. If this doesn't go left, it does go left. That is a huge final attack from Dogbear to save some health. Outside chance now that he has another loss in him this lobby.
Now, I'm the one on lookout duty, not you, so you're less likely to know the answer to this than I do, but I don't think there's a light spawn. There's loads of 4s and 5s all over the place. There's loads of acolytes, but I don't think anybody's hit the light spawn in the whole lobby, which could mean that everybody is just messing around trying to make something happen here.
Yep, no, that's been my assessment as well. I don't think anyone has hit particularly hard. Dog ends up just going with economy there. If he'd had more health, I think it would have been... Oh! I was going to say, if he had more health, it would have been super interesting to see whether he just took a very hopeful Tony Two Tusk in that position and then just tried to look for hoggers off the other triple, right? Because that's exactly the kind of setup I'm talking about with Gallywix, where that's the build you want to get into. Dog, I think, on 9 health, and particularly on 9 health going into the Diablo boss fight, recognized he needed big tempo immediately, and that Tony was not going to provide that tempo, because even if he hit Tony plus Hogger, the one milking fight you need to transition into Golden Hogger would probably get him killed in this spot.
Island Cats, Acolytes, and his high main has paid off. He's hit a Nest Matron, but la, you're oohing. I can see why he's hit double Light Spawn.
Double light spawn indeed. Weirdly, he does have the light spawn first world problems where he's actually far too strong to be getting significant milk out of most of these situations, but double light spawn is certainly double light spawn at this point. He will absolutely take it here.
Yeah, he's healthy enough to be able to fiddle around a little to set some stuff up as well. He doesn't have to do what we've seen most people have to do in these very tempo-riddled tournament, where they've had to sort of just bail and take 13 elementals and hope it's enough. He is going to have a chance to maneuver a little bit, I think, here.
Yeah, and crucially, his actual live fight for the round, the one that his scaling is based on, is the fight that you're seeing on the left-hand side against Dog's board that we just saw. So Dog having that big Hydra, getting a big cleave, actually worked out pretty well for La, because it was one of the few players that was strong enough to likely make a significant impact. And Lorinda on the right-hand side, as I was talking about the left, we mentioned it. If China's going to do well, it probably means Island Cat has to do well, and Island Cat has kicked off this final lobby, or sorry, this final round, the first lobby of the finals, with an 8th place.
La getting the triple light spawn. That's going to be a big minion that he can use for some tempo. It's also going to free up a space so he can start to mess around and get some good stuff. Slysssa has found the second light spawn, and she has got a lot going on this turn. This Hydra is going to be as gigantic as she wants it to be, with the 2 elementals in hand and the 2 Domus on the board.
Yeah, once again, the board for La is just not built for milking at the moment. He has got into a position where he is making individually strong, narrow boards with big minions at this point. Like, having just hit Golden Lightspawn and fighting against a Ghost, I'm sure he would have loved to just see Acolytes and small Death Rattle minions that he could throw out there to get some milk from that Golden Lightspawn. But he is very, very strong the way the one is panning out now.
Look at Slysssa on the right-hand side. Look at this Hydra. It is ridiculous. She's actually quite weak on the rest of the board and unfavoured for the fight, but she's on 25 health. She does have the Diablo Secret, which I don't think the deck tracker usually factors in as well. But she is able to add to this over the next few turns. And if you're going to be a 1-unit player, having double light spawners backup and a huge cleave is probably the way to go. Are you okay with the Hydra being in first position?
I think the Hydra first was fairly reasonable there, yes. But I think having the way this panned out, having her cleave go left was actually a really big deal. I think a cleave in a different position would have worked out very badly because Divine Shields would have then got value. But she still probably needed to win a very important 50-50 as to whether the cleave went left or right to get out of that one, even with the benefit of the extra demon from the Soulstone in the end. But that is huge for her. She does defend some health, but that is now Dog biting the dust on the Gallywix. I had my suspicions that was coming soon. Busted Gallywix games are some of the most miserable feelings in Battlegrounds. If you just don't really get anything going, the hero just collapses like a flan in a cupboard, and that's exactly what has happened here to Dog as he goes down in 7th place. So that is Island Cat for China in 8th, Dog for Americas in 7th.
I have never put a flan in a cupboard. All right, Tao has got this. I've used the phrase cobbled together. It's all I've got in my head. He's cobbled together something, and he has managed to get an Amalgad on the board. Does miss the perfect, but he only had 3 or 4 different tribes on the board to go with. But he's relying on this stupid 1826 Yoho Ogre at the top there that we saw right at the start, and things haven't really got much better for him since then.
What's Kurt Hennig got to do with anything that's going on, Lorinda? What are we talking about?
Oh, no. There's nothing perfect about this cast.
He just said he missed a perfect.
Did I?
Yeah.
I actually said those words out loud.
Yeah, she did.
Amazing. I have no idea what's going on anymore. It's fantastic. Right, Collins has finally got himself into a comp idea. He is going to end up with a beast with, just giant grubber as backup, because why not?
Yeah, and that's something he set up for earlier, as I was mentioning. He was just putting a few stats into those 2 small golden minions that he had with the Argus, the Blood Gems, a few other things, and it just allowed him to keep them hanging around for an extra turn or 2. Meanwhile, I look away from the left-hand side. I'd given up on the left, and Tao absolutely scammed his way to a draw that keeps him alive as Panda. I think the tracker said 94% favoured to die in that position, and he found his way out of it with his last remaining 2 or so health intact. Really, really big deal for Team China.
PF with the 2019 comp. Bran, Light Fang, and some stuff. But that might be enough in this lobby, because at least it's doing something. A lot of the other players don't seem to be able to get anything going here of any significance. They're all playing the tempo minions they found, and even the people with the light spawns don't seem to be able to milk because of the way their board was before they found them.
Yeah, pair of recycling wraiths now for Slysssa is a really big deal, not only because she can consolidate those 2 buffed wraiths into potentially one more huge triple, but once you have a golden recycling wraith on a normal hero, of course it works a little bit differently on Millhouse specifically, but on a normal hero, if you get that double wraith down in play, you are just playing the miracle turns at that point. Elemental gains you gold. Basically every elemental is free in terms of how much economy you get back from the rolls coming down. So when you have something that pays that off, like a Major Domo or a golden party elemental, or ideally a Lil Rag if you're all the way up in the lofty tier 6 tavern tiers, then you can start to make some real powerful things happen.
Really hope we get to see her next turn, because she's got 2 elementals, one of which is the stasis frozen in that shop with this board as well. She's got a chance of hitting triple cyclone. Even if she doesn't, she's going to use the double domo to buff things massively. And yeah, Panda is not standing up to that might, and Slysssa looking to be a good position. Bill also looking to be in a pretty decent position with these monstrous mama bears now.
Yeah, and having not seen the cut at the end of Slyssa's fight, we're being made to wait to see if the Panda scamming a tie, if Tao scamming a tie on the previous round has actually helped improve his position from 6. But that is the news we will now get after this Bill fight. Bill dealing 11 damage to Collins on the Cook, and no, the scam achieved absolutely nothing for Tao on the previous round. China is now going to go down in 6th. So, for those keeping track, that is Tao on Panda in 6. That is Dog on Gallywix in 7, and that is Island Cat for China on Rafarm in 8th.
Just want to draw your attention to La's board here, because there's a lot of very good minions and a bit of synergy there, but I don't know where he's supposed to go from here. What do you think? Where would he go if it was you in this position?
Yeah, it's quite difficult, because the only thing he has that is showing real promise in this position is the Wildfire pair, right? Like, yes, he has a Golden Light spawn, but he only has maximum 6 minions that are going to die on this board state, because nothing has Reborn or Death Rattle or anything like that. And even then, unlikely to happen because those minions are too big. So in terms of how to improve from here, he is a little bit tapped out. The Ground Shaker is looking a little bit surplus to requirements at this point. He's kind of just splashed Blood Gem synergy in there with the Charlie and the Ground Shaker. So he is a little bit stuck, but I would say Wildfire triple is probably the #1 way he can improve from here.
Yep, Cyclone might be a thing. He's not freezing the 24-25, so he's looking for other things. So Cyclone would be nice to go along with the little Ground Shaker combo he's got going on.
I think if he picked up a Cyclone, it might even just straight up replace the Ground Shaker at this point, just to have the raw stats on board at that point. But you are
quite a
absolutely
confident
right.
call, by the way, not to be overly bothered about the 24-25. I don't think he had the gold, I guess.
Yeah, I really like it. I think, as I was saying, there's very little way that he improves. Like, it's not... Lightspawn is not Nomi, right? That's a trap that you do have to avoid.
Yeah.
Where just, oh, I see an elemental. I have to buy that elemental because that's what playing elementals does. When you're playing Wildfire, it's much more about looking specifically for those premium elementals. But this all ends up being entirely irrelevant anyway, because he takes the fat L in the Diablo fight. He is going to go down. We'll see how many other players also bite the dust here. Just... Yeah.
And that puts America's in a reasonable spot. Things we've said a lot this week. It was looking sort of a bit balanced at one point there, but America's have started to eke out an advantage now with the cookie just hanging in there turn after turn.
That's right.
We haven't seen Collins' board for a little while, but I don't think he had a whole lot going on there. It's just some tempo and don't die.
Yeah, but I think headline news now: 5th, 6th, and 8th for Team China, with only PF left alive, hanging around in that top 4 with the Crag. So PF is certainly going to have to make a run to first here if he's going to make this a competitive lobby for China. Otherwise, America's just be doing what America's do and winning Battlegrounds lobbies. And I guess that is a little sub-story that we have going on here. Is yes, there is a quest for Americas and China just to win this whole tournament, and that is the primary concern. But Americas also have an undefeated Battlegrounds record to defend, which I'm sure they will be looking to do as well.
PF does have the Frozen Snake in the shop alongside the Mayexer. They came in the same shop there, so he will be able to sell out of the Light Fang next turn and get some better poison. He can sell out the brand depending how the shops go, I guess, but the other way seems more logical at the moment, with improvements to his other minions being a bit slow from the Light Fang now.
Did he actually just roll into late game starter pack?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I love it when that happens. Just one roll. Oh, the perfect stuff. Thank you, Bob.
Yep. Well, that's my decisions made for the week. Takes down one of the poisons from the side with the Hydra as well. That's a big role in the context of this 25% fight. But, as always, Sottle told you all about my beast disasters.
Yeah, this Hydra attack is going to be a big deal. This Divine Shield is going to be a big deal. Wants to go left, does go left. absolutely insane attack on the Divine Shield, and that once again picks up a scam tie for the China team. Not as unfavored as the previous time that happened, but now PF actually gets to build into something somewhat exciting. 2 massive Divine Shields with a Bran and a Light Fang, and a reborn Myexna coming out to play. He is scaling very nicely into this late game top 4 showdown now.
I think if he hits an Amalgadon here, that could be a massive roll. Blast from the past, talk about Amalgadons on this sort of board, but with Bran and all the tribes, that would be a unit. That would just be a unit. Let's just stop.
It would be an absolute unit, Lorinda. You are absolutely correct.
Okay, let's see if you can get a second Myexna or something to go with the second snake.
Again, it's just one of those turns. We talked about this before, gold intervals and breakpoints, right? He landed in a shop where it was the last shop he was going to be able to see and buy something from. The Rattler is a good minion that gives him good utility, good potential for the future. So he's deciding better to spend that 3 gold on a minion right now than just set 3 gold on fire, rolling for a point where I would have to freeze anyway, because rolling and freezing is always significantly more inefficient than some of the more casual players think it is.
Is this zap in an attempt to take down a Mama Bear? It's not going to work, by the way, because Collins, as always, has managed to make it so that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's always a little bit tricky to answer those questions without being able to see what the player is seeing when they mouse over the sides, right? Because that's where those decisions come from. But just looking at how this fight lined up, yes, he moused over the side. He saw that he was fighting against Beasts 6, I think that would have read as, right? Because of the Gold Grubber. If he didn't already have the information that the 7th minion was a Gold Grubber, he might even think that the 7th minion was a Baron in Beast 6, right? And then that's another reason why you want to be picking up the zap in that spot.
It's not going to work, though. He is going to survive, though, and he's got some stuff to work with. He's got a chance of rolling into some fairly good things, but he is getting behind. Obviously, again, Light Fangs, they just stop scaling these days in a way that is pretty abrupt when the other comps get going.
Yeah, meanwhile on the left, which we now pull onto main focus, Slysssa is going to bite the dust here. She has been Walking Dead for quite some time because the Mama and Pale Scale on the right-hand side have had no chance of dying in this fight for quite some time. And that means that it's going to be Slysssa going down in 4th place. So PF does march on to fight another day, looking for the big first place in this lobby, which keeps China a little bit more competitive with the dominance of Americas in this first lobby.
It's Collins and Bill again. I know that Slysssa and Dog have both had great tournaments as well, but it does feel like Collins and Bill have been the ones really being... When the scores have been heavy, it's been Collins and Bill that have been the really heavy hitters in this particular tournament.
Reborn Myexna's coming out to play as well on Bill's side. Shake of the head, though, not finding these last rolls that he was looking for. Again, he's now in that gold interval position where he's looking at this shop, wanting to buy something from it because he wants to ship a minion out to get the snake through to give his Myexna reborn, but then he's in a position where he needs to find one more final minion to get back into play. Having a rat or a snake buffed by the Mama in play is not the worst thing in the world, but there are certainly improvements to that he would have liked to have made.
I'm just going to very quickly... Go, you go.
No, it's just the fact he rolled into the triple on the rat, but there's just no way on earth he could ever end up taking that because he needs that board space, and the rat was the minion that was going to be sold away to get there.
He's got the Hummel, but again, he's got no pair on the board apart from the Myexna, which he doesn't probably want to dribble.
Right.
I only say probably there as a quick pause because I suddenly realised how much health they both had. It just made me think, just for a second, that maybe he'd want a giant reborn Myexna, but looking at what he's up against in the lobby, that's just absolutely not enough health.
Yeah, I suspect Bill will take the Hummel next turn, again sell the rat that he sold on this turn just to make the board space, and then look for just another Rattler rather than a triple to give the other Myexna itself reborn.
Could be a team kill here. Reminder, they don't know who each other are, and it looks like Collins is going to survive this anyway. He's quite a way in front. But if it had been a team kill, PF would have limped up into another position with the Crag.
I mean, it can still be a team kill the other way, and it is a team kill the other way with the drops from the Mama Bear coming through. 11 damage going down to Bill, and that means Collins is going to march his way up into the top 2 situation with PF on Crag, Lorinda, and you set it up at the start. You said if China are going to do anything here, they're going to need PF to do something, and it looks like PF on that Crag might be struggling. Well, what do you have to say now?
Well, he's doing quite well. Nope, absolutely brilliant to see it. And it's looked quite a smooth ride as well when compared to some of the other people in the lobby. But Collins, once again, he won at least 3 lobbies in a row over the course of 2 matches. I'm pretty sure I've missed a win out there somewhere as well. He's just been in every heads-up situation, it feels like.
Yeah, he has absolutely slayed so far this tournament. I did have the honor of casting some Battlegrounds with Collins in one of the earliest invitational events that we did do for BGs, and it was great to just sit alongside him, pick his brains, get his insights on some of the things that he was looking for and talking about in those spots. He's very much a modern-day Renaissance man in that he spreads himself quite thin between a lot of different disciplines, a lot of different games, but he's one of those people that just seems to excel in whatever he wants to put his mind to. Excellent arena player in the past, leaderboard player in Mercenaries when Mercenaries came out, former rank 1 in Battlegrounds as well. Like, he is a multi-disciplinary beast.
Yeah, and there's a stage earlier when, before they knew what the ruling was going to be on Frozen, Collins just decided to learn Frozen's decks. And we're talking about like at 90 minutes notice here that this might happen. And just decided to learn Frozen's decks in Mercenaries just in case. I don't know anybody who can learn a Mercenaries deck in 90 minutes to have the confidence to go up against the best players in the world with it, but that's what he was doing at that time.
Full value from the Golden Mama, but still infinite stats still left remaining over on the other side, and these Myexnas are still getting to swing. That is 3 minions biting the dust at an absolute bare minimum. Pale Scale goes left, which means that is going to be, at least 14 damage coming through. Last time I checked, that's significantly more than the 3 required to end the lobby, and PF does do what PF needed to do in that spot.
What does that mean?
Size matters, so people can check out what size they are by typing the command size. See if they're chonkers or dinkers or average or growers or showers.